Hey everybody, welcome to Ticket Stubs and Popcorn. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Second season 2.
Seriously, the beginning of season 2, everybody. With throwing in the we'll call them director's cuts.
Yeah, director's
As
cuts.
we talk about directors today, we're going
Yeah.
to talk about Steven Spielberg. So
Steven Spielberg,
I mean,
yes.
that's kind of, it's tough to narrow down. But,
He's a pretty big,
yeah.
big
oh my God, yeah.
star in that firmament. Let me tell you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So there was some sad news though going into the new
As
year.
we finished last year,
unfortunately, so Betty White passed. So Betty White was she was super funny. I loved her on Mary Tyler Moore. And she'd pop up whenever she'd pop up. You know, I wasn't a huge I didn't watch Golden Girls a whole lot.
I didn't either.
Whenever I did, sometimes I'd be at my grandmother's house or sometimes my mom's or something like that, and they would totally dig it. So I catch it. She's super funny, super nice.
Put a smile on your face all the time.
Yeah, most definitely. She was great in The Proposal with Ryan Reynolds, and they had a great chemistry that continued.
I got to tell you, I loved catching. Password game show or other game shows because she was very smart, very quick, and just very competitive.
Yeah,
and very exact. You could tell.
Yeah, she was. She's fantastic, and definitely will be missed. When I found out, I definitely got a little a little choked up, a little something got in my eye. It was weird. The exact moment I found out. So that was.
And she's been around so long that everybody thinks of her in a different way. Whether it's
but my first was probably Mary Tyler.
Oh sure.
So really fun, really funny.
Great character. Was great character.
Really shame she's just less than 3 weeks out from her 100th birthday.
I know it.
Just really sad. So we just wanted to I guess acknowledge her fantastic
the entertainment
contributions.
Field,
So I do have a question for the end of the show.
Okay.
So you know how sometimes a movie will end and it's purposely left ambiguous, and not when it's a bad movie, but it's purposely left ambiguous. What's it like? There are multiple interpretations. Yeah. So think about that. We'll talk about that at the end.
Oh, that's a lot to think about.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
So let's hear Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg.
Wow.
So
Steven Spielberg.
I mean, it's amazing.
He's fantastic.
You can mention anything from and everybody knows his movies.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah. Once in a while, you may have forgotten one, but you go, oh, of course, that's a Spielberg
of course.
movie.
And you know it, and it's I don't know. So tough to narrow down to 3.
Very difficult. Steven Spielberg really represents a lot in just the whole movie making history.
Yeah,
he represented this new young vanguard that was coming in the very late 60s into the early 70s, and once they had a couple of movies under their belt, there was no holding them back.
He wasn't as dark or gritty as stuff coming up. So he was just I think that you could look at the big blockbuster and how that I think he was right at the. You could call him the father of the blockbuster, maybe.
At least my first pick is the summer blockbuster, and it's Jaws.
Yeah.
And this is a movie, and I know I've referenced this before, for not just for actors, but this is a movie I can stop, find out that it's on, or have access to it immediately, and I will stop what I'm doing and watch the movie.
Yeah.
I can pick this movie up at any point, and that doesn't affect me either. That I still find that enjoyable. Oh, we're already 25 minutes in. Doesn't matter. I'll watch this thing. This redefined. Well, actually, it didn't redefine. It defined it. We had no such animal as the summer blockbuster.
Yeah.
You could say Godfather And
I mean, that was
1 and 2 were blockbusters, but this was
like
a summer event.
Blockbuster.
And the fact that the movie takes place in a limited time in the summer, it dovetailed so nicely with what was going on. And it just tapped into this thing, and it created a market. The summer blockbuster didn't exist before, and after that one, people started realizing, as a studio, we could maybe do something like this next year and see what we can do, or a couple maybe. You know, you try working it out. But Jaws, phenomenal.
Yeah.
And there are so many, to me, so many components of this movie that the director is ultimately in charge of, and he puts them into place. Decisions that he makes, special effects, music, maybe not the casting, because I don't know how much of a hand he had. I know he had suggestions, but I don't know final decision. But what he does with his actors and what he does with the dealing, because it was his decision, as far as I remember, it was his decision to go out on the open ocean to do this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if it had been done before, but let's face it, weather in the ocean, how you can't control that. So he dealt with that one, and he moves this movie on out of it, just a perfect pace. And it is helped so well by the music. Obviously, that's John Williams, but he's still the director. He's got a hand in every pie. If it doesn't sound good to him, he's going to change something. He's going to how this movie moves and just everything about it.
The thing that sticks out for me with that is, and then you see it later, is don't show the monster.
You got it.
You know, and that's like, exactly. You know, and that comes up all the time when you talk about other kind of, you know, monsterish movies. Yeah. It's just like, you don't necessarily need to see the creature. You don't for a while.
Yep.
And it makes it even scarier.
It does.
And that type of thing carries into other movies, and you see that sort of thing. And it's just, it's brilliant, and I don't think he's the first to do it.
No, I think you can kind of get a little Hitchcock.
Yeah.
A little before Psycho, a few other things, but
you don't. It just
he could have overplayed his hand, and it's reeled it in at the right point.
Yeah, it makes it scarier. So great. Yeah.
And is there great acting? Is there great writing? Yes. But he's able to marshal these forces, and the finished product.
Yeah, it's
tremendous.
It's amazing. Yeah.
I mean, this movie's 75, maybe 1975.
75.
So that's
76.
Like 40.
I think it wasn't like the bicentennial part of the story.
But it's like
76.
Or the 4th of July is definitely part of the story.
Excuse me.
I want to say 75. I could. It could be 76, right. But I think it's 75. So that's almost. What's that like? Almost.
It's almost 50.
Almost 50 years, which is weird in its own thing. But
you're really old.
I know, but just tremendous. Like movies like that will, I think, stay with us forever. Not because it's old, or it's not because it just stays with
works.
You. And the one thing I get excited about is to think that there can be younger people watching that for the first time. I know they're seeing it through a different lens right now because so many other movies have gone by and they've seen stuff. But just to see that,
I took my nephew to see it. There was a showing of it at a movie theater. They were showing it on the big screen, and I took him. And he's a teenager. He was probably like 17 or so at the time. And of course, I mean, I've seen this movie a million times. He'd never seen. But there was one like jump scare.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
And I have to tell you, he jumped a fucking mile out of his seat.
You're probably just sitting there like staring out of the corner of your eye, like waiting for it. Waiting for it.
It wasn't even out of the corner of my eye. I was like,
Cameras on
it
you,
was just
son.
like, bam, and it was awesome. It was so good, so good. Yeah. So, what's your next?
That movie's tremendous on every level. All right, second one, and once again, we've said there's
there's
so much to pick from. It's infuriating in a way, in a good way. Second one, I'm gonna go with Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay.
Same idea with what he did to do something new. This one he kind of redefined an earlier, like 1930s, 40s
like
serial
hero,
stuff.
Yeah.
And he really kind of definitely modernized it. There's great little special effects and in the how he has to go and rescue different artifacts, and as we see the traps and so that whole stuff, and we saw it earlier, like in Jaws and some other movies, but there is a great tongue-in-cheek humor, especially when you're dealing with Harrison Ford as the lead actor and the character of Indiana Jones. It's done very well this way, but that's, to me, a credit to the director allowing things to go a certain way, but still reeling it in, because the movie's got to go forward. It can't be too campy. Then you're not getting the cliffhanger suspense as much.
Because you need that. Like, that is the epitome of. It's like, okay, here's our hero, and the only way you learn about the hero the right way is like how they react to a challenge, and it's just like, okay, great. Here's an obstacle, and how does he get over that? Now it's just like, well, okay, there's another obstacle. He has to get from point A to point B, and there's 1,000 little obstacles in the way, and it is just
and he's done.
It's so fantastic.
He's done the other Indiana Jones movies in the series, but I'm picking the first one because this really sets the tempo.
Oh, totally.
And that's another one that is just so enjoyable. I will stop any point, watch that thing, and once again, it doesn't matter. I would rather catch it from the very beginning and watch it all the way through. But same thing. If I know there's 35 minutes left in that, I'll watch this with you.
Yeah. Also, it's one of those things where you're just like, I'll just watch it till it gets to like something I don't want to see, and then gives me a break to sit away, and it's just like, oh wait, I love everything in this movie.
Exactly.
And I'm just never
I'm not going to quit. I'm sitting right
exactly.
here. Oh yeah. Oh, so that these those two so far, Jaws and then Indiana Jones. Well, in this case, Raiders of the Lost Ark. But I can go back to those, and that is, like I said, that's the testament to a director. In this case, a young director who knows what he wants to do, and now he's already gotten, because of Jaws, he can do any movie he wants, and so he's having fun with the stuff and the projects that he wants to do. There is a movie out there that I'll be honest, I love this movie. It's not one of my 3 Spielberg picks. A lot of people disliked this movie, and there are certain reasons, but I loved his foray into just flat-out comedy in 1941.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoy that movie. Always did when it came out. It's not on my list. It's not on the list, but I'm just throwing this out there to say that I like the movie, but there are Steven Spielberg movies that people don't appreciate, and they don't do well.
Yeah. So what's your third?
I like that one a lot. Now, the third one kills me because you got so many to pick. I'm going with a completely opposite movie. And he's done others that are in this very serious, important vein. And that'd be Schindler's List.
Okay.
There's decisions as the director that he makes in this movie that are, maybe at the beginning they weren't common or popular or whatever. The whole black and white thing is just a great idea, because it's not just the time setting of the movie, but what's going on in the movie. And then the choice to have that girl in the little pinky red jacket.
Red jacket, yeah.
Oh, it's just a good touch. Good, I mean, and there's there's some obviously as Steven Spielberg is a Jewish American. There are things that are going on in this movie. Spoiler alert. That are obviously sensitive to him and his family.
Right.
I know that he did, his father, who was certainly alive during the time that he was doing Schindler's List, had lost a bunch of family members, I believe, to the war, but to concentration camps. And so that this is important and personal to him, but still to us important, serious, just something. Yeah. And the fact that he can pull this off without being like, it could, it's a topic that can be maybe done a little too heavy-handed, kind of get the old cry fest out there, kind of, and he shows that sadistic, commandant, and wonderfully played by Ray Fiennes. But it's so difficult to narrow this down to 3.
Oh yeah.
I went with Schindler's List because I think it's an important film, and it's done so well, and there were decisions within it, with the music, everything. The cinematography, everything. And like I said, it's all up to the director. Yes, he has people in charge of other things, but it's all his decision, his final say, and that's how it goes. So and there's so many I've had to leave.
Of course, yeah. There's so many.
1,001 other movies. So.
My first one, and they kind of go in this weird orders, the way I kind of think about Steven Spielberg. There's like movies that you feel like a kid, all right?
Yeah.
And, movies that I associate with being like a kid, okay? Yeah. Movies that I sort of feel like were my like teenage Steven Spielberg movies as I'm like a teen, right? And then there's just like the more like the grown-up stuff, all right? So, I mean, he sort of came up, like his work has sort of evolved where he was doing, I mean, Jaws notwithstanding, that's not really a kid's movie, but for me, I'm going to go, my first one is going to be E.T.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And that movie is such a kid's point of view movie, and it makes you feel how you would feel, not just but as a kid in that situation, okay? There's no watching this movie. Like, there are some movies now that you could watch and think of, like, as an adult. Like, you watch something like Home Alone. And it's just like, oh, if this was my kid, or it was something like that. But you watch E.T., and it's just like, you're a kid. And you're in that thing where you've got this, you found this thing, and, like, you got to deal with your parents and your siblings, and you're a kid. And that's what that movie does for me, even though, like, age-wise, I was, just a teenager when that came out, but it still has more of a kid, vibe to it for me, and it really does. It pulls at your heartstrings, and I'll cry every damn time at the end of that movie. And you still feel that magic and that excitement, in the end, where it is, kids against the grown-ups and stuff like that, where at any point, logic would just say, look, you're the kid, you need to just do what you're told, instead of, like, wrapping this thing up in a blanket and, riding away in a bicycle gang with your friends,
but once again, I'm sorry to interrupt,
No,
but
no.
the whole director angle of it is that this children's point of view, which fits perfectly, dovetails nicely with the fish out of water side of it with E.T. himself. He's young, he's naive,
Yeah.
he's like not in his element. And
Yeah,
it's just like the kid, it's a perfect thing from their point of view. It's with his point of view.
Yeah,
in a way.
and I loved. I mean, great working with kids, which isn't easy. And like Drew Barrymore has always talked about her work on that movie. The way it was working with Spielberg, and got great performances out of her. Got great performance out of all the kids, and it really just works on that level. The next kind of going into like the team kind of vibe for me anyways is that the adventure of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to double up on that one. That is just that came out at a time when I'm just a teenager. I'm like 13, 14 years old, and I'm just like,
I want a hat and a whip.
I want a hat and a whip, and I want to go, and and you go to the library and you look up the Ark, and you're just like, maybe there's something to this,
What if anybody checked here?
Because you're at that cusp of just leaving childhood and entering into adolescence and all of that, and there's that sense that Indiana Jones isn't under control all the time, and there is a certain value to how are you going to do that? I don't know. I'm making this up as I go along.
Yeah.
And I got to that's one of those things that it sort of sticks with you. It really has been one of those things where it's like, all right, I may not know exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm going to dive in,
I'll figure this
with
out.
both feet and just see what happens. And I don't know what I don't know, so I'm just gonna I'm just making this up as I go along, and that adds to the excitement of it. It's just like, oh, okay, Indy, you don't know what you're doing. We don't know what you're doing. We don't know what's gonna happen. But damn, you're just gonna forge ahead. And I think that hit me personally. Go for it and figure it out. And sometimes
it's not always safe. The answer's not.
Right.
Obvious.
Sometimes you're gonna fail, and sometimes you're gonna be successful. But the trick is, if you fail, it's just all right. Well, let's see what's next. Okay, I'm thrown on top of a truck. What's happening next? Oh, I'm sliding down the front of it. It's just like, oh, all right. Well, now I'm under the truck. What do I? There's always that do or die kind of thing. It's just like there's got to be a solution. So figure it out.
The other thing about this character, the character of Indiana Jones, is that it gave, I don't want to say hope because that makes it sound a little, but it gives encouragement to certain younger people who might be not athletically inclined all the time. So sports isn't their way out, and academia might be, and it always seemed like he's got a little bit of both.
He was a bit, clearly smart was sexy, So
and I liked that.
Yeah,
it gives you this option of just saying, hey, it's not just the college football player, team, or the big man on campus, or the whatever,
Yeah, it wasn't that cookie cutter tough guy that maligned someone who's got brains because he used brains as well as brawn, I guess, or just sort of toughness. And then there's that whole, you see it on Big Bang Theory where they say that Indiana Jones was not, the story would have ended the same.
He kept it out of the hands of the Nazis.
Well,
that's all that matters.
Well, did he though? Because it still would have ended up the same exact way.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean,
I could argue could have used it for wrong purpose. I have no idea.
Anyway, so but I mean, and that's hardly the point to the story. So
exactly.
And then my last one would be that the first this movie, Schindler's List, is my next one. Okay, and that was I'm in my early 20s. I walked out of that movie, and I saw it with my girlfriend at the time. That movie affected me so much more than any other movie had before. It really, I mean, I remember feeling like so sad at walking out of that movie, and I tried to process it, and she just would not stop talking, where I was just like, look, can I just have 10 minutes to just, because it really did affect me, just the cruelty of the time and what was going on, and like it was just so. I mean, I'd read books and stuff like that. I was, a student of history and politics and stuff like that, so I knew what had happened. Yeah. But I'd never. And
when someone says, "Oh, it's a story about man's inhumanity to man," yeah, okay,
yeah,
but until you see it,
and it really does. And that little girl in the red coat is just like, oh man, it kills you, and so that was sort of like what I would sort of call, at least in this Spielberg world, probably like the first real, like, this is a bad term, like, but I won't say adult movie, but grown-up movie that I watched this grown-up movie, and again, I'm in my early 20s, I'm still in school, and it's a grown-up movie, and it had a grown-up effect on me. And to try to process that as a grown-up, finishing up school, and like you're on your way out into the world. And so yeah, that it really had a huge effect on me. And you're right about the choices that he made to go, black and white, and with that little splash of depressing color. And so that's my third one. There is, I mean, we could do another show, pick a completely different 6 movies between us, and that we landed on like 2 of the same is. It's surprising and not surprising at the same time, But then there are other movies of his that are just, I don't know, to say that they're just okay, like Catch Me If You Can,
I love Catch Me If You Can.
Love that one.
Lincoln is another really good one that to me was way up on my list too.
But I think that as he sort of progressed into more grown-up movies, he just became really. He's still fantastic. I mean, he's like way up here. And for there to be a bad.
Amistad's another one that I really love too, and that's way up there.
So, but to be like a bad Steven Spielberg movie
is still
probably much better than a lot of stuff out there. I haven't yet seen his his West Side Story remake, which I don't even understand why he would do a musical.
No, but something, I just don't. Which makes me feel good is that it's Steven Spielberg. He can do these things that he wants to do.
Yeah.
And obviously, you feel some connection to this, to the play, to the musical, to the movie, and now to make his own.
I would see it. I mean, it's not getting great reviews at all.
No, I'm not even sure if it's playing still.
Excuse me.
I'm sure it is,
but it's I'll see it because I like him and see kind of like where it fits. You don't really think of him doing like a musical. A musical, It was like when Kenneth Branagh did Thor. When he directed the Thor movie, he's just like, okay,
That's right.
Here's this
Shakespearean
actor and director, and he's directed some great Shakespeare stuff. And then he's going to do.
He is a funny guy
Thor.
too.
He is a really funny guy.
He hides it a lot.
Yeah, and I like his Thor movie. I really do. The second one sucked, but he didn't direct that. So
no.
But yeah, to see Spielberg do something like so uncharacteristic.
I mean, there's so many Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That's another one. Oh, that was really close to being one of my top 3 with his, but something has to give.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so that's Steven Spielberg. So what you got, Spielberg?
Right, Steven Spielberg.
All right, so I had a question. I did, yeah. So a movie that has an ending, which could have multiple interpretations.
Yeah. The first one I thought of was Birdman. We discussed it with Michael Keaton,
Yeah.
I guess. Because that one, actually, we even mentioned it on that episode where you felt one way and I felt another.
Yeah. Yeah.
And which I think is
great.
exactly what the
Which
movie's
is-
supposed to do.
Yeah.
There are movies that I, really love, and I will think to myself, no, this is how I'm interpreting the ending.
Right.
But it doesn't matter to me that other people have a different viewpoint, because once again, that might be the reason for the ending. The other one is Lost in Translation. How does that movie really end? I mean, yeah, we see it. I mean, and I'm not so sure that it needs to have a definite. And you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to have this answer.
Given what happens in that movie, okay, gun to your head, what do you think his message to her is?
Oh, when he whispers something that we don't hear.
Yeah. Given what's going on with him,
I'm gonna
what's
have
going
to
on
see
with
it again,
her.
but I think it's just some sort of advice from an older person to a person who's starting off.
Yeah,
I think it's a positive message, some kind of an aphorism, maybe. I don't know, but I don't necessarily think it's something like, "I'll call you up when I get back to the States."
No, I don't think it's anything like that.
Or I'm
either.
going to meet you in 1 year's time under the Eiffel Tower.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't think it's something like that.
I am thinking about this question. That was the one that came up, and I think it's as simple as, again, like you said, it's this older person who's been through a bunch of stuff,
And we've seen
with
it
his
in the movie.
relationships and his
Yeah.
career and stuff like that. She's at the beginning of her marriage, traveling with her husband, and it's just he's off working and stuff like that. She has to fend for herself, and I really think that his is just kind of like, hang in there, kid, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And anything beyond that, because there was nothing in their interactions that suggested a relationship or an interest,
Or if it is, it's
or
not
an
that kind
intimacy.
of a relationship.
Right? But nothing
It's
nothing that
a
was like
friendship.
sexual, nothing beyond a friendship, or even Billy like an acquaintance that you see when you're traveling, and the fact that they had conversations and
Yeah.
got to that
I-
point. I do. I think it is just kind of like
Well,
that.
so those are two movies that came
Yeah,
to a
Lost
head.
in
Like
Translation.
the ending,
Yeah.
it's not a clear-cut thing. And I think in those two cases, the two that I mentioned, Birdman and Lost in Translation, I don't think they're necessarily, we interpret it the way, makes sense for us.
Right.
I don't know. How about you, Jim?
Lost in Translation was
okay.
mine. That it's open to translation.
Yeah, it's open to interpretation, or translation of
Yes.
the interpretation.
Exactly. So, but that's one that I think is open so much, and you see so much debate about it, and everything from we need to bang to hang in there, kid, you'll be fine, or whatever. So, that's a good one. And again, Birdman's another one that came to mind. So.
It is funny because it's definitely a device that the director or the writer has chosen to use. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to leave it this way. I mean, there are other ones, I guess you could say, and maybe things are being misinterpreted. Maybe, but maybe there are supposed to be endings that people have gotten
There
wrong,
are
but
some,
there are some that are definitely open-ended.
Clue. No.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You get so many choices with that one. Inception is one of those movies that it's just Chris Nolan going, how much can I confuse you? How many times can I get you to go back and see this movie so that you can try to interpret it? Don't get me started on Christopher Nolan. That's where I am on that question. So, anyway. Always, folks, if you've got a thought on that, we'd love to know. So, What are we doing next?
We have our new director.
A director's
See,
bucket.
This
green light
these
for
like
action,
expensive,
right?
These expensive green Post-its tell me that it's the director's bucket.
The budget has not increased here at Ticket Stubs and Popcorn very much. So buy some merch, would you? Sheesh.
Speaking of, I want to thank one of our viewers / listeners, Tom from Michigan, sent me this wonderful hat of the Great Lakes,
Michigan hat.
And
cool.
he's
Great Lakes. I mean, they're like pretty good lakes.
Well, I think 4 are great.
What?
Erie? Come on, really? Anyway,
branding issue.
Sorry about all you people out in Buffalo. Sorry about that. All right.
Well, you're in Buffalo.
We got another.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
Yeah,
that'll be cool.
That would be a good one.
All right, folks. Hey, so thanks for joining us here at the first episode of season 2 here, where we're going to do a lot more directors.
Yeah, we're still going to do some
talk
actors.
about
We'll be
some
going
actors
back
here
and
and there, but throw some directors into the mix. And we appreciate any comments, concerns, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Check out the podcast.
Agree or disagree, tell us.
Yeah, exactly. We'd love to hear from you. So, Happy New Year, everybody. Be safe out there. And, I guess that's it all I got. All right, bye-bye, everybody.
Take care.